NCAA tournament expansion continues to be a big topic of conversation. The NCAA, if you missed it, presented models to conference commissioners earlier this week, saying that we're interested in expanding the tournament, and if we do, we'd probably go to a 72-team model or a 76-team model. And this has led to, some people freaking out. Don't mess with the NCAA tournament. We don't need to expand. You're going to diminish the regular season and so on, all the things you've always heard. And I guess what I would say, we did a podcast on it yesterday. I guess what I would say is I don't think the NCAA tournament needs to be expanded. When you hear Greg Sankey, the SEC commissioner, or other people like that argue in favor of NCAA tournament expansion, they talk about access points. And they say, hey, listen, we've seen teams go from the first four to the final four. We've seen Ole Miss baseball go from last team in the field to College World Series champion. Like, you can say we're not leaving a possible national champion out of this, but we might be. And, the more the merrier. The truth is it'll make more money eventually, if not immediately, eventually. And, conference commissioners are constantly chasing money. And so this was always going to happen. The pushback on it is we don't need more teams in this field. The bubble's already weak every year. Teams that nobody thinks are any good from power conferences are on the bubble every March. They have plenty of opportunity to get in. If you get left out, it's because you're not good or you've messed up. It's not because, we just don't have a spot for you. We put mediocre teams in. We don't leave good teams out. So let's not expand the field. So I was asked about it yesterday, and I would vote no if it were up to me, because I'm not making any more money off of it. I would vote no. In fact, if you left it up to me, I would take it back down to 64 so that everybody, the entire bracket fits neatly on a, 8.5 by 11 piece of paper, the way we grew up with it. You fill that thing out. I'd go back to 64. We ain't never going back to 64. We're at 68 right now. We're going to 72, 76. And so I would vote against it. I don't want it. I don't think it's necessary unless you just want to make more money someday. But I'm also not offended by it. And here's why. Because of baseball. Every sport has expanded its postseason in our lifetimes. NFL, Major League Baseball, NBA playoffs, the World Cup, you name it. It's all been expanded. People will tell you every time something's about to expand that you're about to ruin the sport. Every single time. They say, you're going to ruin it. Nothing ever gets ruined. Nothing has ever been ruined by expansion, far as I know.
That's true.
They say it every time. 64 to 68. That's going to ruin the tournament. It didn't.
No.
It just doesn't. And so I'm aware of this. People always think it's going to, this will be the death of, and it just never really is. Even though I don't want this, I'm okay with it, and here's why. For most of my life of being a Mets fan, you had to win your division to be in the playoffs. And at one point, it was just two divisions, NL West, NL East. We didn't have the NL Central. Then it became three divisions, so, 3 winners instead of 2. Eventually, we get a wild card. Eventually, we get 2 wild cards. Now we have 3. But think about this. Did adding wild cards to Major League Baseball diminish the regular season? Maybe. But if we didn't have wild cards in Major League Baseball right now, the Mets are 13 and a half games behind the Phillies in the NL East. If we didn't have wild cards, the Mets and Cubs are playing this afternoon. I can't wait.
Right.
I wouldn't even want to watch. The season would be over right now.
Oh, dude, I'm in a division with the Yankees.
Right.
Like the Orioles would never make the playoffs.
All right, so I don't know if we really need 12 teams in the Major League Baseball playoffs, but because we do have 12 teams in the Major League Baseball playoffs, suddenly the Mets season is still interesting for me right now. If we didn't have expansion, the Mets season would be over. So maybe it is diminishing the regular season in the sense that the Phillies have a 7-game lead on the Braves in June, and almost no matter what happens at this point going forward, they're going to be in the playoffs. So what's the, meaning behind the rest of the Phillies season? I guess, maybe, but they're still going to have fun winning a bunch of games and winning a division. Just expansion does keep more teams in the conversation longer. Just by definition, it does.
Right.
And I don't know that that's the worst thing in the world. Yes, the bubble will get softer and the cut line will move down. But all that'll mean is heading in. It's not like we'll stop talking about the bubble. It'll just be a weaker bubble, but we'll still talk about it just as enthusiastically as we ever did. So I would vote against it, but I don't think it's the worst thing in the world. And I'm almost like resigned to the reality of it's going to happen. And I can spin it into a positive, even if I'd rather not have it. I don't think it'll kill college basketball. I don't think it'll kill the regular season. I don't think it'll kill the NCAA tournament. It'll just create more spots in a bracket that will get all wrapped up on this. Basically, the proposals are when we had the first 4 on Tuesday and Wednesday, instead of having 2 games on Tuesday, 2 games on Wednesday, we might have 4 games on Tuesday and 4 games on Wednesday. And then by the time we get to Thursday, the tournament is exactly the way it's always been. I just don't think it's that big of a deal. If you want to read about it more, you can find it at cbssports.com.
The Gary Parrish Show, live weekdays at 10 a.m.